Welcome back. President Trump says he's just days away from naming a new Bureau of Labor Statistics chief and a brand new Fed governor. It'll be dramatically different. It will change the way that the economic data is tracked and how it's read. The president is accusing BLS of bias and manipulation, but it just might be incompetence because the agency is in over its head. No one is responding to its surveys anymore, and its staffing shortages are so bad that they miss about 15% of the price data that they are supposed to collect. So for investors who've built portfolios on the assumption that government data is gospel, well, it might be time to rethink your approach. And E.J. Antoni, I have to come to you first on this. Bannon calling for you to lead the BLS. Has anybody reached out to you? Is this something that you're actually considering?
Well, I can't really consider it because no one has actually offered it to me. Just to be clear, no one from the White House has reached out to me. So, that's the end of that portion of it.
All right. So then, can we get your take on what happened on Friday?
Absolutely. And real quick, jumping on the CPI component that you just mentioned, that 15% of the data isn't even actually gathered anymore. It's just simply imputed. I mean, why on earth did we have to fire all of the data collectors? Are you really telling me there was no fat to trim at BLS, that you had to cut some of the most crucial employees you have? I mean, that was absolute, not just silly, that was malfeasance. Those are the types of frankly, those are the types of mistakes that I think are legitimate cause for firing a government bureaucrat. Now, regarding what happened on Friday, I mean, look, I have been raising the issue with the BLS data for a couple of years now, not an exaggeration. It wasn't just me. Plenty of other folks, too, observed that all the way back in the spring of 2022, there are severe problems that start to develop within BLS data, whether it's the non-farm payroll numbers or other things as well. And none of those problems have been addressed. None of the necessary corrections have been made. That's why we continue to see these huge revisions in terms of the non-farm payroll figures. And again, that's a problem. And if somebody is not willing to address that problem, then maybe it's time to move aside and let somebody else have a stab at it.
Okay, so it sounds like you agree with the overall decision, but not the reasoning that he necessarily used to get there. Having said that, David, it is an issue. It's been pointed out. The head of the BLS, the chief, it will change at this point, and that person has an opportunity here. What do you think that can be done to, streamline the system, to make it a little bit better? It does feel very, very antiquated.
It is, and they've already been talking about, getting AI components in the collection of data and so forth. But the real question is, and we were talking about this in the break, whether the next commissioner is going to feel some way indebted to Trump and is going to be seen as a crony of Trump. And it does have to maintain as best as possible its independence. Some of that might wash out in terms of questions when during the Senate confirmation process. But we'll see how that happens. It's a very tricky situation. Trump specifically mentioned two reports that came out right before the election, one in September and one in November, the beginning of November, right before the election. The September number was 254,000 jobs, which was a big number compared to the number before and after. And then October was a pretty low number, but November came back at 227,000 jobs. So there's some credence to what Trump was saying about that right before the election. And of course, the commissioner was a Biden appointee. So, it's a natural inclination to think that there might have been bias. However, there's so many.
When was the first month that you said?
The September 2024, the beginning of September.
So Trump was on Competing Network this morning, and he was talking about these revisions, and he brought up that number specifically. And the rebuttal from the host was that that wouldn't have an impact on the election. It was too far away from the election.
Yeah, and then, that's ridiculous, although November also was just about as high. It was 227. 227 was the number from November. 254, forgive me, was the number for September. So there was some suggestion of that. But the bottom line, what EJ was saying, is we really need to be able to trust in our numbers. This is what businesses, invest with the thought of whether or not their investments are going to match the figures that are happening at large. And if we lose that gold standard, we talked about this yesterday, the sense of the U.S. being a gold standard in collection of this data, we've lost a lot.
Well, but to what President Trump was talking about, it was in August last year during the Democrat National Convention that the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out with its preliminary benchmark revision, and there was a downward adjustment of 818,000 jobs. So that would benefit the Republicans and not the Democrats. And Gina Raimondo was asked about it, the Commerce Secretary, and she was like, dismissed it because she didn't know she had no idea what the interviewer was even talking about. So, right, if it's going in your favor, they love the numbers, and when it goes against them, they hate them, and the same goes for the Democrats. But the point being, and you've talked about it, and because I took a screen grab of what you said on X, is that the response rate for this survey has gone from what it was 60% thereabouts before the pandemic to 42% now.
And the CPI is even worse because we said 15%. It's actually 30%.
Answer me this.
Is imputed.
But answer me this. Why can't the IRS report new hiring data like that? Why isn't it automated? Because when you hire a person, that is an input into the IRS, is it not?
So this is something that the next BLS commissioner should absolutely tackle. We have all kinds of data crossing different government systems, and the systems don't talk to each other. This was Elon's big complaint, right? He was able to integrate so many different systems and actually get them to talk to one another. That's how they were able to find, for example, people 150 years old still getting Social Security checks. It was because System A didn't talk to System B. So if you can actually integrate that, and if you can actually get this data in real time, then the UI data, the unemployment insurance data that's eventually used every quarter to compile the more accurate data that's used to create the benchmark revision you're talking about, you can get that data sooner, and you can incorporate it sooner, and you can disseminate it sooner. In other words, you can get more accurate data into the hands of not just the American people, but the major decision makers we're talking about, the folks here on Wall Street, the folks down in D.C. at the Fed. I mean, my goodness, how on earth are we supposed to conduct monetary policy when the numbers are constantly changing, and not by small amounts, but swinging wildly from month to month? That's no way to run a country.
That's where I want to land this plane, because I think you're right. You're giving me hope that there is a solution. We can integrate, right? We can have these systems start talking to each other to give us more reliable data. But as an investor, I have to step back and say, if there's a lot of noise, there's still got to be some signal there. And so in an individual report, it's not worth much to me. But if I look at the trends, they're very troubling. If you look at the non-farm payroll data from January, the 3-month rolling average was about 220,000 ads. In the last report, we're down to 35,000 ads. So that's a tremendous cooling in the labor market. Meanwhile, Powell comes out on Wednesday and says the labor market looks solid. And then Fed President Williams comes out on Friday after that data and says, oh, it's really just a gradual cooling. When I look at the trend line, it's not a gradual cooling, it's happening, and this is what's got to motivate the Fed. I've been in the camp that they shouldn't cut. I'm now firmly in the camp of they absolutely cut. Is it 25 or 50 basis points in September? I don't know where you land on it now.
So here's part of the problem, though. The data that we're talking about that's really coming down pretty quick, that the rapid cooling you're talking about, that's the non-farm payroll number, but the Fed is not focused on that. They're really focused on that unemployment rate. Now, I'm not saying they should or shouldn't be one or the other, but that's what they keep talking about. Full employment to them does not equal job growth. It just equals a low unemployment rate. So as long as that stays relatively low, we might be overestimating the odds of a cut this year.
Would you take the job if offered?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It's a bit of a chaotic situation right now.
And you want to be frustrated, start digging into how they calculate the unemployment rate. Because I was part of that survey. And it started with a woman standing in front of my apartment door carrying what looked like a first-generation laptop from like the 80s.
I remember those.
She was a census taker. That's how they collect that data. They have to show up.
The household survey, right?
The household survey. They show up at your door or your house like, hello, I'm here to collect some data. It's insane the way that entire Labor Statistics Bureau does it.
Yeah, I mean, JOLTS is even worse. The job opening labor turnover survey, the response rate is like 1 in 3.
Wow.
Hi, I'm from the government. Click.
Yeah, right.
So clearly there's some work to be done.